All right, it was the wedding of the year, Chelsea Clinton's marriage to Mark Medzwinski, Saturday in upstate New York, a huge, expensive affair. But the former first daughter made it sure it was exactly what she wanted, a low-key and family-oriented, without a lot of guests she hardly knew. So how can the average couple follow in Chelsea's footsteps? Well, we have George James from the Council of Relationships. He's here to help to create the wedding you want without all the family drama. Hi. And this is big. This is really big because you don't want to regret this for the rest of your life.
Right. It's a big day for everybody, and family drama can happen a lot.
It can happen a lot. You sort of see things in people you would never expect come out. Yeah. Really with the people that you didn't expect it to come from. Yeah. So what is the first tip?
Well, one of the things I want any couple to think about is really start with each other. What happens is that you get involved with maybe your friends or family members into planning and defining the wedding, but it should start with the two of you. What type of wedding do you want? Where do you want where would the wedding go? What will it look like? Who do you want there? And if you can define it together, then that can help all the other stuff that could happen.
Yeah, it's sort of like planning and knowing exactly, so then you can ward off any other disagreements.
Right.
Okay, second step.
Well, the second part is that once you figure out what type of wedding that you want, now you can start to discuss what could be some potential pitfalls, potential boundaries that you want to have in this for your wedding, so that for some people, what's interference is actually help for somebody else, right? So, but you won't know that unless you're talking to each other about it. Maybe something that my family does maybe is annoying to me, but let's talk to each other about that so that if it happens, we can now work around that and not let it happen.
Absolutely, because you're becoming a unit, so you have to start talking about it. Now, you do want to involve the family, and there are concessions you need to make. So what's your suggestion?
So what I say is to involve the family, involve your parents, but keep your autonomy. So what happens is parents will have suggestions, maybe they'll also contribute. That's great, and you want them to do that because weddings can actually be an opportunity where everybody gets a little bit closer. Maybe you've been busy doing your own things, and planning allows you now to get together. But what happens for some people is that now they go back to being a child. They regress into this, I'm going to do whatever you say, or I'm going to yield to whatever you ask. But sometimes it's against what they really want. So keeping your autonomy means still be able to stick up. Say no. Say maybe can we do something different? Or this is what I had in mind instead. Just like what you mentioned with Chelsea.
Right. And it's such a good point because you choose your own battles and you want to fight. You kind of give up some battles. But it's important to really keep what's important to you. Next one. So important. Money becomes a huge issue, and faith.
Money and faith are huge, and they can be potential huge conflicts within a wedding.
They could be deal breakers.
Right. And so it's important that when you talk to your spouse about that, or future partner, of what is it, what do we want? Because say, for instance, you grew up Catholic, but you don't want to have a Catholic ceremony. That can be a huge thing for families. Or sometimes if families are contributing money, they think that means they have a say-so. Mm-hmm. So it's important that you negotiate that, and maybe it might mean not taking as much money from whoever is contributing.
Right, and kind of putting it on yourself. Okay, the last one. Inevitably, a wedding is going to be stressful. It just is. It's a lot of planning. It's a big job. So what do you do with that stress? How do you handle it?
See, sometimes the interference might not be the thing that takes your ideal wedding away. Sometimes it's our reaction to those interference. And so it's the stress. So it's important that we develop and maintain healthy ways to deal with that. So that could mean making sure you have fun, making sure you're still having date nights, making sure that you're doing things together that keeps you in a place where you enjoy the time, maybe even enjoyment with the family members. And if it gets to a place where you're so overwhelmed, you might want to think about a third party, someone where you can, whether it's premarital counseling or whether it's just someone that you can kind of let everything go to.
Such good suggestions. And then just enjoy the day.
Yeah. Because the thing at the end of it, it's really a small training ground for what you will do later on. Right? If you can do the planning well, maybe the marriage can go well as well.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great tips. Good luck on the baby coming up in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So exciting.